Welcome to episode 18 of Convergence with Karen Holton here on People for People Radio. Find out how the personal is political as we explore the politics here on Earth, the exopolitics of our galaxy, and how these intersect with spiritual transformation through my unique perspective. Just to catch you up, in Convergence episodes 8 through 15, I shared my latest version of the Quantum Health Transformation Program. Here is an overview. Quantum Health Transformation Steps 9, 8, and 7 form the first tier of training in this free online lifestyle course, which will help you to open your mind and expand your awareness. Then in Quantum Health Transformation Steps 6, 5, and 4, we explore the second tier of training, which is all about detoxification to improve wellness and to become free of the negative influences of the social construct. Quantum Health Transformation Steps 3, 2, and 1 form the third and final tier of training, which offer a deeper understanding of your spiritual potential and offer ways to significantly raise your energetic signature. You may want to come back and listen to each episode again, as they contain a lot of information with some deeper concepts to consider. Last week in episode 17, I was delighted to introduce you to my friend Laura Lee Potvin of the Angel Rock Show. Laura Lee and I are both judges for the Natural and Common Law Tribunal for Public Health and Justice. And we are up to date about the facts and the implications of these facts on both national and international levels. Check out the archives to find our discussion in Convergence episode 17, where we discuss the current Canadian political climate and repercussions. Please feel free to contact me for more information and for assistance with your consciousness expansion, detoxification, and ascension program. Also, my services are found under the Shop tab on my website, www.karenholtonhealthcoach.com. If this is your first time joining us, I encourage you to check out the archives here on People for People Radio or my YouTube channel to find all of the episodes of Convergence. You will be glad that you did. Today in episode 18, I am so happy to introduce you to my friend, Ryder Lee. Ryder is a truth seeker, knowledge guardian, and spiritual educator. He uses his real-world experiences to educate and elevate others to awaken, question their reality, expand their consciousness, and raise their vibration. Check out his YouTube channel called Raised by Giants, where Ryder interviews others from all backgrounds about their spiritual awakening. This brings people from many different perspectives who share what's going on in the world from an individual and collective perspective. His guests share insights, knowledge, wisdom, and awareness from their personal experiences. Today, we will take a deep dive into the subject of ascension. Hi, Ryder. Welcome to the show.
Hello, Karen. Thanks so much for having me. I'm delighted to be on here and have a great conversation with you today.
Oh, thank you. So, how are you doing down in sunny California?
Oh, well, some days are better than others.
Yeah.
But they seem to be kind of letting up on a lot of the restrictions and the things that are kind of going on. But I think that it's kind of planned to be that way so that they can kind of lock us down even harder in the fall. But time will tell. They'll do what they do no matter what. And my goal and my mission really is to just kind of let people know that our reaction to these events and to these things that are going to happen is everything. If we're in an emotional state, we're in a reactionary reality, then we are the ones that feed the system. They have to turn this into a self-governing, a self-policing system in order to get away with it. That's what they do with that's what we've seen all of 2020 with the mask and the social distancing and things like that. If you go into a store, I don't know how it is in Canada, but I'm sure it's way more rough from what I've spoken to you about. But if you go into a store here in California without a mask on, it's not normally the staff or the people that are working in the stores that tend to have an issue with you not wearing a mask, right? It's normally the other people in the public, the other people that are in the store or wherever it is shopping that give you dirty looks or tell you to put on a mask. So it's like they've created this self-policing, self-governing system to by the people, enforced by the people, and that's the way that they have to do it, because they know that these laws and these policies and these mandates are unconstitutional, especially in the United States, because we have a pretty hefty constitution. I don't know what other countries are like, but they know that these things cannot be gotten away with unless they have the majority of the population on their side about it. And that's why they disguise these things, backing them by something that everyone can get behind. They have to make it about public health and public safety, because if you're not for public health and public safety, then there has to be something wrong with you, right? That's the kind of perspective that they push out onto the public. That gets everyone backing a certain thought idea. Right. And it comes down to on a spiritual level too, because I think that a lot of things in our reality are egregore and egregorical, which is a fascinating occult terminology, that our thought process and our emotions and our belief in something is what creates it and manifests it in our reality.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And it's similar to this, I think it's called cervicors and egregores. And so what we put our thought, intention, our feelings, our beliefs into actually creates energy. And at some point, those energies can become, I don't know how, but they seem to have their own intelligence and their own direction. Is that what you're talking about, Ryder?
Yeah. Yes, exactly. It's kind of like, this is the easiest way for me to explain it, is there doesn't have to necessarily be a crazy, deadly virus running around killing people. Now, as long as the majority of the population believes that there is.
Yeah.
Right,
and then they believe in it and they put their energy into it. And so it becomes evident, the evidence starts to show up from the belief systems.
Exactly. And that's the way I think that a lot of things in our reality works, Karen. It just doesn't work with, the whole pandemic and the virus situation. It's like that with everything really in our reality is run based on our belief, thoughts, and perception of it. Right? That can relate to anything in our reality. It could relate to religion. It can relate to whatever it is that you believe. Right? Because no one really has a monopoly on truth, right? all that we can do really is share our experiences, and then our experiences of life kind of cultivate and create our reality, and then our reality turns into character traits, and then our character traits turn into our personality, and we've been shaped and molded by our environment a lot of the times, depending on what area of the world you're born in, where you're from, who your parents are, what you did for work, what country you're from, what religion you were brought up in, who your parents were, and all this kind of coalesces and then shapes and molds us on a individual level. So everyone has a different experience of their world and of their reality. So there's endless amounts of different perspectives, and then the perspectives create and mold our belief system. So that's really where I think a lot of people have to kind of grasp onto that concept and realize that people are the way that they are because of the experiences in their life, whether they recognize it or not. And when you grasp that kind of concept, I think that gives you a lot of inner peace and gets rid of a lot of inner turmoil and gets you kind of out of that reactionary mode that the dark side and wants us on. Because they want to get us down a very narrow view of reality. They want us constantly giving our power away to an illusionary outside source. So whenever we realize that that's what's going on, and they want us down this very narrow path of a set of beliefs and rules and guidelines, then we can break out of that and realize that and come together, and put our differences aside and work together, because when you get to that concept, you realize that everyone has their own path, and just because someone's on a different awareness level than you doesn't mean that they're right and you're wrong, or vice versa. It just means that they're on a different level than you, and they should be treated as such.
Now, we're going to get into a little bit more about that when we get into the awakening and the ascension and things like that. But before we get started, Ryder, can you tell the viewers a little bit about your work and where people can find you? I want to get that done in the beginning so I don't forget to ask you later on.
Of course. You can check out my work on YouTube, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Podcast at Raised by Giants. I'm on all of those platforms. I normally release a one video a week on YouTube, and then it is uploaded to the rest of the other podcast platforms as well. And it is normally released on YouTube first, and then it goes to the rest of the podcast. And I normally release them on Tuesdays at 6 p.m. PST or 9 p.m. EST. So if anyone listening would like to go check that out, I go through a bunch of different topics. I bring on guests and interview them once a week. I cover things from spirituality, UFOs, ancient history, ET experiences, Anunnaki, psychedelics, combo medicine, manifestation, intuitive abilities, all kinds of different things, religious dogma, the occult. I kind of just do it all, and every week I just kind of talk about the things that interest me, and if people would like to come on and give a listen, then that would be great. I'm not here to tell anybody how to live or, what to believe. That's, up to your journey and your personal experiences. I'm just trying to help people expand their thoughts and get out of the narrow illusionary reality that's been projected upon the mass population.
Wonderful. I really enjoy your shows too, Ryder. You've inspired me a lot. And I love the way you do them in the preview format so we can join in and get involved in the chat if we can make it to the show. And it's really quite lovely. So I want to thank you for that. So now we're going to do a deep dive into Ascension. So I thought it might be a good idea for you to describe from your experience, what Ascension looks like, what is it? And then let's talk a little bit about that.
Yes. Well, I kind of received a download about this concept around a month and a half or two ago, and it kind of unfolded, and I created a presentation about it, and I shared that on Forbidden Knowledge News with Chris Matthew, and I also shared it on R. Wayne Steiger's YouTube channel, and it's called Exiting the Simulation, Returning to Source. So I got this download that was basically... Now,
Ryder, you're talking about a spiritual download where you downloaded it like through telepathy. This isn't a download you got on the internet, right? Just just to be clear to folks.
Yes. That's a good clarification there, Karen, because I've gotten a few people that are being like, where did you download this from?
Yeah, exactly. So it's quite a different process. I'm sorry for interrupting. Please continue.
No, you're 100% fine. Thank you for letting me clarify that. Yes, it is a spiritual download. It was not a download from the internet. And it kind of... How I know that it was a download is because I wasn't thinking about this information. I was actually just on my phone playing a little video game. I had no prior thoughts to this. It just kind of came out of nowhere and hit me, like an original thought, you know. And it was just a simple statement.
But it unfolded over time, right?
Yes.
The details.
Yes. The simple statement was basically about technology and why why the human race and why the population is trying so hard why there's such a push to merge with technology. And what the information that I received about it was that people are trying to merge with technology because they are trying to return back to source. Right? And this kind of unfolded more whenever I started putting it out onto my presentation, because source is all-encompassing, all-knowing, infinite information. Right? And I don't think that any physical human being would actually be able to take on all of the knowledge and all of the information in the entire universe all at one time without it overloading our brain, without
Absolutely.
it basically frying us to a crisp. And what I was shown is that that's what was going on in the Garden of Eden with the knowledge of good and evil. It wasn't actually an apple. It was a fragment of source. And this fragment got into Adam and Eve, and then this kind of expanded their reality so far that it kind of corrupted them. Right? And
kind of like too much too soon type thing.
Yes, way too much too soon. And then I was also shown that there was a very similar story to this in ancient history involving the Anunnaki gods, and with Enki and Enlil. I don't know if you're familiar with those, the Anunnaki gods. So Enki, see, the Anunnaki gods were essentially the most perfect hybrid ever created, perfect physical human hybrid ever created on the planet. And the Enki, the Anunnaki god, thought that he was kind of so powerful, all-knowing, and so brilliant and wise, and that he could go to this off-limits place in the universe, in the galaxy, right? And the reason that it was off limits was because it held all of the knowledge of the universe inside of it. And I was shown that this was source that he was trying to integrate back with, right? And he couldn't handle it. And that slowly corrupted him, because he realized who we are, and what we're living in. Because I believe source is the actual source of the simulation, right? It's neither benevolent or malevolent. It just exists. It's just there. It's kind of like a motherboard of a computer, this kind of keeping everything in motion, and it's just infinite knowledge. And he tried to go there, and he somehow survived. But again, he was severely corrupted afterwards, because it was like overloading his brain, and he wasn't meant to handle all of that information. And I think that this event was what kicked off the Anunnaki uprising and the eventual galactic war that happened way back, thousands and thousands of years ago, when they originally first came to the planet.
Right.
And then this, after the uprising and after the war, they were eventually defeated. All of the Anunnaki was defeated by the creator ETs, the ones that created the Anunnaki. And they had to call in reinforcements from all over the galaxy, because they're the perfect beings that they had created was uprising against them, and they weren't able to take them on themselves. So they had to call in a bunch of different reinforcements from across the galaxy to come and try and handle the problem. So when they defeated the Anunnaki on the Earth, they decided to place a reincarnation trap over the planet. And to basically keep these Anunnaki gods from ever uprising again. And then after this happened, the Earth kind of then became a dumping ground, right? More people were brought in that were deemed failed science experiments, or that were not able to get along out in the universe. So they brought them to Earth, because it's a quarantined planet now, because of the reincarnation trap that has been placed on the Earth. And so basically there's only a few reasons for us to really be here. And this, of course, is just, from what I've been shown, Karen. People can take or leave this information. It's not absolute truth, because there is no absolute truth. All I can talk about is, my experiences and what I've been shown. So there's only a few reasons for us to be here, which we either got trapped here, we were captured and brought here, or we are a clone or a cyborg. And yes, clones and cyborgs exist. But what I was shown is that the reincarnation trap has been lifted, right? And the only way that the dark side and the archonic consciousness, whatever you want to call them, can keep us here, Karen, is by making us think that it's our idea. That's the way that it's kind of like what we were talking about in the beginning of this conversation. They have to make us think that it's our idea. So on a spiritual level, that is what I believe is going on, and why they did this whole thing in 2020 with the quarantine, because it's a self-imposed quarantine, and they don't want us to escape this physical reality, Karen. They want us trapped here for another 2,000 years or 4,000 years, or however long it takes for a new age to come back in order for us to escape again, because we have a window right now to get out. And I don't know how long the window is or how long the window is going to last. But there is a window of time that we can get off of the planet and escape the incarnation trap that's been placed here. But again, they have to, in order to keep us here, they have to impose a physical quarantine, because when they impose the quarantine on us physically, that is giving our consent for us to have to stay here. Because that's the way that it also works, Karen, is consent, us giving away our power, us giving away our consent, and then that trickles down through all of the levels. So that's what I believe that 2020 was all about. Of course, there's many levels that goes on with everything that happens on the world stage, but I believe that that's what is happening on a spiritual level, in order to, because we're food, Karen. They feed off of our energy. They feed. They're a parasite consciousness. The evil ones, the dark ones, of course, the ones that are locking us in to this physical reality. And the more that we escape and the more people they get out, the less food that they have to feed on. Right. So they don't want us to escape. And this is what I believe ascension really is, Karen, and it's been mistaken as a physical ascension when it is not a physical ascension at all. It is actually an after-death ascension, an astral ascension, an energetic ascension, however you want to term it. Right.
Now, I did get a message from the chat, so if you don't mind, I'll just interject here. Neutrons, Protons, and Electrons asked, has Ryder read the book Gods of Eden by William Bramley?
No, I have not. I would like to check that out. It sounds super interesting.
Yeah, I'll shoot it to you. I'll message it to you after the show, and if you want to follow that up, you can. And but I wanted to also comment on, you were saying what is ascension, but also what ascension is not. And if I could just share from my perspective, for me, what ascension is not is God or an angel blowing his horn and a bunch of people rising up from the planet and going on to paradise and everyone else being left in misery. I understand that's often called ascension, but that's not how I see it, with live living people. And I also, because of my own exopolitical experiences, I have been told that and when things get really bad here, a spaceship isn't going to show up and just evacuate us all and take us on to other worlds. So I actually share your perspective as far as it being a spiritual ascension and not a physical ascension. And but I want to see how you view it fitting into the awakening process. And just in my opinion, which doesn't have to be the same as yours, but in just my opinion, the awakening process is the beginning, or where it has to start, where we have to wake up to the fact that we're basically in slavery and that our options have been curtailed by, let's say, dark forces, because depending on your belief system, that could mean a different thing. But so do you feel that people have to wake up before they start their ascension process? What's your perspective on that, Ryder?
Yes, awareness has to be brought to everything. If you don't have the awareness of it, then how are you supposed to know that it's even happening? Right?
Exactly.
If people don't know that there's a false light matrix reality that is there to recycle us back onto the earth, then how are we supposed to beat it?
Exactly. If we don't even acknowledge it or see it, how are we supposed to protect ourselves? And I think you would agree with me, Ryder, that we're tremendously powerful, which is sort of part of the reason why we are, being used for our energy. But we're powerful enough to wake up and take back our sovereignty. What's your thought on that?
Yes, we for sure are. And it's a difficult thing, Karen, because everything in our reality has been turned upside down and inverted and hijacked against us. So it is difficult for people to figure out what's real and what's not, and what they should be listening to and what they shouldn't be listening to, and what they should be taking on as belief and what they shouldn't be taking on as belief. This is a very, very tricky, sticky situation because there's so much infiltration, misinformation, disinformation that's being pumped into these communities, and the consciousness movement, the New Age movement, all of these different things has its own infiltrators spreading nonsense. So what we really have to do, Karen, is take a step back and search deep within ourselves, right? And get into our heart space and try to unlock our intuition and discernment. That is the biggest key of it all, pick and figuring out what resonates with you. It does, just because it's accepted by the majority doesn't mean that it's real, doesn't mean that it's right. So we really have to dig deep within ourselves, and it's an individual thing too, Karen. And we have to heal ourselves. We have to search deep within. We have to go in and do the inner work. And once we do that, we heal ourselves. Then we can go out and help others. And expand and help the collective. It starts with us as individuals, and then it goes out and spreads. It's like a domino effect, right? You knock one domino, and then they all fall. But this is a different type of situation where once one person rises, that starts a chain reaction where everyone has the opportunity to rise. Because just because one person rises doesn't mean that everyone else is going to rise. It's an opportunistic type of situation. They have the opportunity to ascend. They have the opportunity to be better. They have the opportunity to heal themselves. Now it's up to them if they want to do it.
Yeah.
We're here
Personal. I guess that's what we call freedom of choice, free will. We have free will, and we get to choose whether we want it, whether we don't want it, or if we do want it, what that's going to look like. It's the other thing is what you were saying reminded me of when you're on an airplane and the steward tells you to put your, if there's a problem and the oxygen masks come down, put your oxygen mask on first before you start helping anyone else. And I see that as very similar with the ascension process. We have to do the personal work, and it's not all fun, and it's certainly not easy. But unless we do it, how can we help other people get their oxygen masks on? Would you agree with that, Ryder?
Yes, we have to take care of ourselves and help ourselves, and then we can help others. But how this whole thing has kind of been pulled off, Karen, is that the dark side, the controllers, want us to put everyone else first before ourselves. And that screws a lot of things up, because if we are just around, worrying about everyone else, then we basically get screwed.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times, if you're worrying about other people and you're just a constant giver in that regard, 9 times out of 10, you don't have someone that's giving and caring about you.
Yep.
So your energy is not being reciprocated.
Yeah, we need to put ourselves in our circle of care, and we're sure seeing an absence of that with this whole, global so-called sickness that's happening. They want us to do what they say is right for the collective. They want us to shut down what's right for us. So what's right for me is to not take the jab, to not wear the mask, to not social distance, because those things are not good for me. But I'm supposed to shut that all down and do what what the elites are telling us is in the best interest of the construct, or the collective. So I would agree with you on that for sure. It really starts from within too. We're so used to going to external sources for our knowledge and wisdom, and turning that around so that we're drawing on our own from inside. Boy, that's a huge shift in itself. Would you agree with that, Ryder?
Yes, we have to take the time to clear out all of these things that don't serve us anymore, and cut cords and cut energetic cords with everything that's going on that no longer serves us, because everything in our reality is energy, right?
Yep.
And energy is easily transferable.
It is.
And however you're feeling and whatever attitude you have affects other people. If I just came on this show today, Karen, and I was like, oh yeah, Karen, I'm so excited to, everyone's going to be like, what's wrong with this dude? They're going to be like, what's happening right now, But if I come on here and I'm like, yo, Karen, yeah, we're going to knock this out of the park, we're going to have a great conversation, then that gets people excited. Because the energy is just as easily transferable through listening to someone speak, or watching someone speak, or just being in person with them. I mean, obviously it's better, being in person, because you can actually feel it, but you can sense it, across the computer and listening to people speak too. So we have to kind of again, it's about awareness, be aware of your surroundings, be aware of the energy that people are emitting.
Yes.
Because we get signals, we get things all the time, Karen, now. And it's a matter, are we listening or not? Do we have the eyes to see what's going on? Because there are beings and there are things that are constantly trying to communicate with us.
Yeah.
And it might not be in the way that you think that they are. You know, and just because you want an interdimensional being or an ET race or an ET group to come down and audibly tell you what's going on, doesn't mean that that's what you're going to get. They communicate in an array of different ways, right? And it's just, are we able to pick up on the way that they're trying to communicate? Because they communicate through signals, they communicate through synchronicities, they communicate through numbers.
Ryder, we've got a question from Eric Hecker, which kind of goes with this. He says, I feel that ascension is akin to becoming of right thought, but it has been said that right thought not followed by right action is of little to no use. Does Ryder have thoughts on right action post-ascension?
Thank you, Eric. I appreciate you, brother. Yes, that is a very good question. And again, what is right thought, though? You know, we all live in an ever-changing, ever-evolving reality where left is right and right is left and up is down and down is up. You know, everything has been inverted and constantly hijacked and turned upside down. So therefore, something that you think that you're doing is right could actually be wrong, and then it could be vice versa too. It could be something that you think is wrong could actually be right. This is where it comes down to tapping in to yourself and figuring out what's best for you. You know, what's best for you doesn't mean that that's what's best for everyone else.
Oh, I so agree with you. I so agree. Can I ask you one more question from Shara?
Yes.
She said, can you speak about people that are claiming to be so enlightened, doing this for so long, not willing to see that humans all have the potential? It seems disconnected. Can we trust this type of behavior? So I guess basically, you know, the people that are claiming to be the gurus and they're well known and they're really famous, but they don't tell the people that we all have that power within ourselves. That's what I think the gist of what she's saying is.
Yes, that is a very, very important. A lot of these people have been set up in these communities as gatekeepers.
I agree. I'm going to say I see a lot of religious leaders would fit into this. You know, we can only find truth through them, and how much power they lose when we realize we have the power within. Sorry to cut you off, Ryder. Please continue.
Yes, it's a trap. And I can say a lot, but I don't really like talking bad about specific individuals or people, but don't buy into it, because anyone that's telling you that they are the only way or that this is the only way to do something, and if you don't believe the way that they believe, then you're wrong. Just get out of there as fast as possible.
Yeah.
You know? Because anybody that's truly enlightened and somebody that is on a true spiritual path and that is awakened knows that there is absolutely no absolutes.
Yes, I agree with you. In my programs and what I teach is for people to find their inner guru within themselves. So I tell them, I'm not your guru, but I will help you to find your own internal guru. That kind of leads on to what are your thoughts about a soul team? I believe I have a soul team, and my goodness, I don't know what I'd do without them, and they really help me a lot, but they never tell me what to do. That's the other thing. They give me perspectives, information. They might even give me an intuitive hit on what word to even research on the internet. There's all kinds of ways that I communicate with them, but even they never pass themselves off as my directors or my handlers in any way.
Yes, that's another thing, is that any being or any entity or any soul team or spirit guides, they're not there to tell you what to do. They're just there to assist in any way that they possibly can. So if there is anything out there that is telling you what to do or telling you how to do something and it has to be that way, then they're 9 times out of 10 not there for your highest and best good. If anyone gets mad at you or upset with you or has any kind of backlash toward you for doing something, then they are not there for your highest and best good. So it really goes back to unlocking your intuition, getting in your discernment, bringing common sense and critical thinking back to the forefront of your brain, and not being easily swayed. Stand your ground.
Yeah.
And anybody that's trying to bring disharmony into your life, send them love, right?
Yeah.
Get them, just think of whatever it is that brings you joy and peace and love, and I guarantee you they will flee. They will either flee or they will try and integrate with it, and 9 times out of 10 they always flee. So, and that goes for anything, right? It comes down to it can be someone that you don't want in your life anymore, or it could be a negative thought, or it could be you think that you're being haunted or you have some negative energy surrounding you or whatever. Just think of love, whatever brings you joy, a moment, a memory where you were super happy, and then just imagine that process of you being happy and you being in that state of mind, and that's going to flip and change your reality, and it's going to change your thought process. I do this all the time with negative thoughts, right? Like I'll get negative ideas and negative thoughts all the time. Just because we're awakened, and just because we do these kinds of things and talk about these subjects doesn't mean that we're perfect. That we are far from it, and we get negative things trying to hit our field all the time. So this is what I do, and I hope that this will help other people, that they just go into their heart and think about what brings them happiness and joy and love, and you're able to flip that negative thought and that negative parasite that's in your consciousness, and if that doesn't work, you can think, because a lot of times they try and trap us, right? They try and trap us in an endless loop of negativity and endless loop of negative thoughts, and to make it to where that's all that we can think about is that one negative thought.
Yeah.
Right? So if you reach out and you say, what else do you have for me? Is there anything else that I can tap into? And then that almost every single time will automatically flood in positivity. And if it's not positivity, it's definitely better than the negative thought that you were thinking about before.
Yeah. I actually had this happen to me this morning. I had a very negative thought, and right away I started reacting to the thought. And then I stopped myself and went, wait a minute, that's not my thought. I don't feel that way. I don't have that intention. So I went, you know what? This is not my thought, and I'm not going to continue with it. And I just started thinking about something else that I liked, and it went away from me. So I think, it's like having that awareness, going back to the ascension process, how we have to wake up. And part of that waking up is that not everything that comes into our head is ours, and to face up to that. You know what, Ryder? Our time has just flown by today. Would you be able to? Would you be willing to come back in a couple of weeks and we could pick up where we left off? Because I actually got lots more I want to talk to you about regarding ascension, and you've got so many good things to say. I really want to have you back, but I don't want to pressure you. Would you be able to come back?
Of course, I would love to.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. Yeah, the hour just seems to fly by when we get into a good discussion, and I have a few announcements yet that I still need to get out. But before I move on to my announcements, I want to let you finish off. If there's a part that you didn't get to say that you want to say, or that you want the viewers to know, please do feel free to give us your final conclusions until the next time you can come back, and then we'll pick it up where we left off.
I would just like to thank everybody in the chat that asked questions. I really appreciate everyone that's here that's listening right now, and I would like to thank Gaz, and I would obviously like to thank you, Karen. I appreciate you. I love your work. I listen to this show all the time, and you have really great content, and I appreciate you a lot. And if anyone would like to check out my work, you can type in Raised by Giants on YouTube, on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Podcast, everywhere besides Apple. Right now I'm still working it out with Apple at the moment. But as far as the collective and what people can do, just go within, and take care of the traumas and attachments in your life, and watch how things start to change, and have the patience and the persistence to make it through, because this stuff just doesn't change overnight. Like this is a long scenario to really get to, because we're used to instant gratification types of things, and that's not the way that this works. Like you just can't, lay down for 5 minutes and meditate, one time and then expect enlightenment. That's not the way that it works. It's practice, patience, and persistence. And thank you so much, Karen. I appreciate you, and so much gratitude to you.
Thank you, Ryder. I am just thrilled to bits to have you on the show, and I love your content too. But also, we've become friends over the months that we've been on each other's shows over the last year, and we've become friends too. And I'm very honored to call you friend, and I can't recommend you enough. Your content is fantastic. So I really hope the listeners go over to Raised by Giants, subscribe, hit that notification bell. You don't want to miss any of Ryder's content. It's fantastic. And I really appreciate you too, Ryder. And on that happy note, I'm just going to give the folks a reminder that the Quantum Health Transformation online course and other inspiring information is free. And if you'd like to help support my work, rather than me ask for donations, I believe in an exchange of energy. So if folks, want to better their lives and support my work, they can purchase perhaps some of my beautiful Zendomes organites. Due to the pandemic, we're having trouble sourcing supplies, so we're not making any more at this point, and I don't know when we will, but we still have some available on the website. If you're interested, I recommend you check them out. And if you want to help create the change that you wish to see in the world, take exquisite care of the temple body. Raise your vibrational frequency. And of course, you can learn from people like Ryder and myself with the Quantum Health Transformation Program. Join me and bring your friends as we go live at 1 p.m. Mountain Time every Tuesday here on People for People Radio. And I'd like to give a special thank you to Gaz and Vanessa for hosting me and moderating for me on People for People Radio. And much love and light to you, the viewers. Thank you so much for sharing this time with me. Now, if you would like to enjoy more of my content, check out my website at www.KarenHoltonHealthCoach.com. That's KarenHolton Healthcoach.com, where you will find an abundance of free resources to assist with energetic ascension into physical, mental, and spiritual paradise. You will find the 9 steps to quantum health transformation. I also co-host Forbidden Transformation with Karen and Chris, and I co-host alongside Chris Matthew of Forbidden Knowledge News. And from this show, you can learn how to make positive ET contact, improve your life, and find your experiencer community. And then, of course, there's the fringe view. Science fiction becomes science fact as you learn about my real-life paranormal and extraterrestrial experiences from my various podcasts. And if you would like to support my work, check out my online shop where you will find, as I already mentioned, Zendomes Organite. This is my unique brand of orgone generators. They're ethically sourced, they're handmade, and they're double charged for maximum effect. What I mean by ethically sourced is they're never made in a factory or by slave labor or from anything like that. They're handmade by a personal friend of mine, and all the ethics are in order. I have a few comfort crystals also available on my website. It's a limited collection of energetically infused semi-precious stones. And I have some lifestyle services and some PDF downloads. So thank you everybody for joining me on People for People Radio, www.peopleforpeople.ning.com. You can also check out my YouTube channel. It's www.youtube.com/C/Karen Holton TV. Okay, so bye-bye everybody, and thank you again, Ryder. We'll see you next week.
Thank you guys so much.
My pleasure.